need to think about things like, are you ISO 27001 certified, right? Because underneath the covers, when you really look at what that means, is the organization, are they deploying best practices in making sure that they're doing everything they can to make sure your data is safe and secure. So I think that's out of the gates. You need to have that and demand it. I think that when it starts to get really interesting when people start to use other services to host or manage their offerings, because ultimately you're at arm's length, if you will, with the cloud vendor, and now you're at arm's length again. And those, I'm not saying that they're wrong or that's not the right model. I just think that we all have to understand what that means and what are the legalities that are in place to make sure you're protected and that the ownership or risk is on them, not you. I think that's important. I know that at Salesforce, trust is a big topic and something that we want to make sure we're providing visibility and accountability. So one of the things at Salesforce we do is we have basically a public SLA, if you will, that's trust.salesforce.com that talks about when something does go wrong. Let's say there's a performance degradation, or we identify that there's a phishing attack that some of our customers are starting to see. We actually post that and give complete visibility into what's the status, what's going on, and how to protect yourself. Because the benefit of having so many customers is if we start to see a challenge with one, we can actually disperse that very quickly to everybody else and make sure that they're protected. So going back to the phishing exercise, it is surprising to me that people are not using IP restrictions. In other words, you have to be on the VPN to be able to log in. I mean, Salesforce can have the best moat in the world, but if you give them the keys to the front door, they're walking inside. So what are the things, and again, we had a little bit of a summary around this, but what are the things are you doing for identity confirmation? What are the things you're doing about IP restrictions? What are you doing for signing up to the Exchange servers so that when someone does leave the company, it by default will reach out to those cloud providers and log them out so they don't have access. So those are all little subtle things, but they're really important when you think about protecting your data and making sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that it's safe and secure.